I am so sick and tired of this process. I went to and I looked at his RAS score. I watched him at pro day, threw the ball well, and that's where these NFL teams they get themselves in this psychological warfare. You get to watch these guys play a lot of football. They get to go play on a real field with 11 players on each side. The games mean something, and you can actually watch them play the game against relatively pretty good competition. And then you can judge for yourself off of that. But then we find ourselves in a position where, again, the guy, he rolled out on pro day, he threw the ball 900 yards. Look who was the kid? Jamarcus Russell. Russell was unbelievable at pro day. He threw the ball from 1 foot and 1 leg from the back of the end zone all the way through the uprights. You should have seen it. You should have been there.
Let's be very clear on why Jaden Daniels is now believed to go over Drake May. It's not because of pro day. It's because he played very, very well against better competition than Drake May. I mean, Jaden Daniels had one of the best college seasons ever, statistically speaking, in the SEC, while Drake May was inconsistent for the UNC Tar Heels. Like that's why Jaden Daniels is ahead. It's not because Jaden Daniels walked into pro day and lit up. Actually, things got worse for Jaden Daniels after pro day. People didn't like his pro day. They were like, he's missing guys left and right. But it's because he played the games.
And I think you're proving my point, is that he was looked upon less now after pro day.
Well, he was still going number 2 behind the certified number 1 prospect.
Well, I'm saying we'll see how much value they actually put in the pro day or not the pro day. All right.
But you have one final prediction. Who do you want the Bengals to get, Trace? As a non-Bengals fan.
As a non-Bengals fan, I would love for them to either get selfishly, I would love for them to get Brock Bowers. Yes, I would love for that. I would love for that. Georgia Bulldog. I'd be happy to see him get Ladd McConkey. The only thing I don't want to have happen, which I'll tease this, I guess this is a tease on the radio. Kenner and Kev are next. But if you get a chance throughout your day, we have this cool thing called YouTube. You can go to it. You can go to Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, and you can listen to the rest of this NFL talk in this NFL segment as we do this. But unfortunately, we're out of time. The clock man is saying we're out of time. You enjoy Kenner and Kev next on 1410 Wing AM. We're going to continue our conversation on our YouTube channel. You're more than welcome to join us. But so long in the Miami Valley. We love you. 1410 Wing AM. But so long. In the Miami Valley. We love you. 1410.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, and we are off and rolling here on a Wednesday. It's the Kenner and Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We are live on Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. It's the Kenner and Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio. I'm Justin Kenner. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, though?
Happy NFL Draft.
What time is it? What time is it?
Right now?
Yeah, what time is it right now?
That wasn't on them. That might have been on me with the extra commercials.
Oh, okay.
But clock management, no. That was like, I was dying laughing at Elliot and Trace. Shout out to Elliot. He's producing the show today. Like, I was dying laughing at Elliot and Trace. You know, we learned, he called it the bump and run. I mean, I need all the tricks I need to learn. I'm horrible at clock management. Elliot, if you're listening, there was one point I looked at Kevin, like, we need an Elliot. Like, we need someone. I think Debbie would love to hire Elliot and say, hey, you need to keep these dudes like on track. These dudes, he's guilty by association.
I would love for us to hire anyone.
He's guilty by hiring freeze.
Considering the workday that I had today.
How many new people have we hired since our hiring freeze, by the way?
Considering the workday that I had. Those people don't count.
How many new people have we hired since our hiring freeze, by the way?
Those people don't count.
We're on a hiring freeze. Unless the people we hire benefit us, the higher-ups, then you know. But, sorry, don't mean to start off the show with negative energy. I've been told I have too much negative energy all the time. I'm working on it, but hey, let's not take responsibility for why Kenner has negative energy. No. Let's just make him, hey, we're going to continue feeding you a crap sandwich. You got to smile while you eat. No. Happy Wednesday. No. But, yes, it is NFL Draft Eve. We have a lot to dive into. Normally we open up with what's trending, but I came across this today. NFL Draft Adam Schefter shared Everyone knows Hembo. Him and Greeny put out a book not too recently, not too long ago. But he put out this interesting chart, Kev. So ahead of this draft tomorrow, everyone talks all the time. I mean, like, what's a safe position to draft, in the first round or whatever. And like, I remember when the Bengals selected Jamar Chase years ago, there was you don't select a wide receiver that high. I think that's changed. The game has changed the way that wide receivers are used. You use them however you want, draft them however you want, do whatever you need to do. But the thing is like every team is different. For instance, the New England Patriots, they have no problem drafting offensive line, but they can't draft a wide receiver to save their life. You look at the Cincinnati Bengals, they have no issues drafting wide receiver. They can't draft an offensive lineman to save your life. So sometimes they have no issues drafting your identity. Being self-aware is key. As an organization heading into a draft, sometimes you need to be self-aware. And I've given the Cincinnati Bengals credit recently for this, where I felt like last year, they could have gone all in offensive line, and they chose not to. They went all in, free agency. They've spent what, $40 million on that offensive line. They've accepted their weaknesses drafting offensive linemen. But the problem is now they're facing the reality of a quarterback making $55 million a year, a wide receiver, which we'll get to in a minute, Jamar Chase. Big happenings in the wide receiver class today, as far as big-time receiver being paid. We have a new highest-paid wide receiver in the NFL history right now, so we'll talk about that in a moment. But the Bengals have some big payments coming up, right? Joe Burrow's already been taken care of as far as the extension goes. Jamar Chase coming up, the back and forth with T. Higgins. There's a lot of money going out, and they have to find ways to be able to overcome some of that. They have to hit on their draft picks, and now something that they have not been able to do for quite some time, which is draft offensive linemen. Now they have to rely on themselves to be able to go draft offensive linemen, and that's key. And that's why when you talk about what the Bengals, who they could potentially take at number 18, Latham, the guy from Alabama that everyone's talking about, that's in a lot of mock drafts. They have the Bengals going that direction, and understandably so. But keep in mind that the interesting thing about all of this is you got to know your limitations. And Jay Morrison, who we're going to talk to around the corner, we've had him on in the past. He's basically told us in the past that even if Brock Bowers is made available, don't expect the Bengals to take Brock Bowers. Mm-hmm. We had Jason Fitz on the show yesterday, who basically said this. I mean, you could argue whether it's Marvin Harrison Jr. or Brock Bowers, the two best non-quarterbacks in the draft, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
And if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you have one or one of the two best players in the NFL draft available at 18, and you pass up on him to take a position that you have historically missed at not 100% of the time. That's a little over the top on my end, but you see my point. That's a gamble if you're the Cincinnati Bengals. But Hembo put out this list, or this chart, if you will. He calculated the percentage of first-round picks that hit or miss.
Okay.
So a hit or a miss is based upon whether that player signed a contract extension with the team that drafted them. The data encompasses the 20 drafts spanning from 2000 to 2019. Here are the positional hit rates. What do you think the three most, if you've seen this, fine, but what do you think the three most, the three positions that have the highest hit rate are? What do you think those are?
I'm going to say offensive line, pass rusher, and corner.
So you have your center, your offensive tackle, and guard. That's a concern. If those positions that your team stinks at drafting, that's a concern that the three positions that have the highest hit rate in the NFL draft going back 20 years, that's a concern if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan. Now, you don't have a lot. You have Joe Burrow. You have Jamar Chase. Like, I know you guys aren't losing sleep, and I'm not trying to stir the pot, but that's a fact. That should be a concern, that the positions that have the highest hit rate. Now, to be clear, center has a 92% hit rate. Okay? There have been 11 hits and 1 miss and 12 centers taken in the first round since 2000.
Wow.
That seemed low, by the way, but centers. But yeah. So 92% of centers hit.
Wow.
59% of offensive tackles hit. They've had 38 hits, 26 misses, and 64 total offensive tackles taken since 2000. Guards split. It's a 50% hit rate, and then it all goes downhill from there.
So the fat guys are winning.
The fat guys are winning.
Shouts out to the offensive linemen. They don't get enough love out there, man. This graphics is showing the O-line some love. I appreciate that.
So what's interesting about that is if you are the Cincinnati Bengals and you want to go the safe route and there's nothing wrong with being safe and taking a very important position, especially offensive line, but the data shows you that the highest percentage of hit rates are on the offensive line. You should go offensive line at 18. But what do you do if that's the position that you can't draft well? They have missed so many. I mean, I can't go. I haven't looked at this and broke it down by Cincinnati Bengals measures. But I mean, I'd say a lot of the the misses, Cincinnati's responsible for quite a few of those, especially over at least the last decade. So I guess that's a weird pickle to be in if you're the Cincinnati Bengals. You look at that data, it's a no-brainer. Take an offensive lineman. You look at your data, though, it's not a no-brainer, especially when you look at tight ends. Now, maybe I'm wrong here because here's where everything comes into play. Look at the tight end hit or miss rate. What do you think the tight end hit rate is?
I'm going to go around 25%.
So low. It's low, not that low, but low.
And this is just
in
the first round, right?
Just the first round.
Okay.
So since 2000, there have been 24 tight ends taken in the first round.
Okay.
Only 8 of them have hit. 16 of them have missed. 33% is the hit rate for tight ends. Weird predicament for the Bengals to be in. In the green, there's only 3 positions in the green. Offensive linemen are in the green as far as hit rate's concerned. But you don't hit on those. All right, but the tight ends, I mean, it's an interesting number. But quarterbacks, Kev, what do you think the quarterback hit rate is?
We always hear it's 50-50, but I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to say about 40%.
So the quarterback hit rate is 46%.
Okay.
It's actually higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Considering, and again, the criteria for this is based on the guys that you draft, the quarterbacks that your team drafts, whether or not they get an extension. I still think that's high.
Well, to think about it, you got to think about like Daniel Jones. He's factored into that. He just got a contract extension with the team that drafted him, but they're still about to move off of him.
He's called the flatten the curve guy. I mean, that's oof. But yeah, you're right. I mean, so quarterbacks in the first round, there have been 56 quarterbacks taken in the first round since the year 2000. And 46% of those quarterbacks have hit as far as signing an extension with the team that drafted them. That's why I just said that seems high, considering that we talk about 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round, 1's going to hit.
Right.
Like that, it just seemed like because of that low percentage, I'd find that number pretty high. But again, 1 hitting beating franchise quarterback, you could still sign an extension. Like if Baker would have signed the extension with the Browns, technically that would have been a success, right?
Right.
They obviously didn't, but Baker, there's still quite a list of quarterbacks that you would take ahead of him, but you feel comfortable there. We talked about that with like the Andy Daltons of the world and others. Those are dangerous quarterbacks. They're just good enough to win you games, just good enough to get you to the playoffs, but they're not good enough to consistently win you your division, not good enough to consistently make you a Super Bowl contender. Those are the dangerous quarterbacks to have because you don't want to get rid of them because they're hard to find as well, but keeping them, it lowers your ceiling as far as that goes. Some other ones, defensive tackle, edge rushers, Kev, 44 to 40% in that range. The lowest hit rate in first-round draft picks is wide receiver at 27%. There have been 77 wide receivers taken since 2000, and 21 of them have hit for 27%. That's pretty wild.
That seems about right. I mean, there's a ton of guys that, that just flame out, and, there's so many receivers that are taken. So, like you said, it was 77? What position is the most drafted over that time?
The position
span?
that's most drafted?
Yeah.
Guys, I see in the chat, I think we got the echo taken care of. We're good. My bad. I had a wrong button that was hit, but that's besides the point. Hold on. Going back to this. So the edge rusher, 104.
Okay.
44% of those hit. But yeah, 104. The next highest one is cornerback at 71. That's a 38% hit rate. As far as that's concerned. Okay. So interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the past drafts. You brought up the Baker Mayfield draft in 2018. So Baker went 1. He didn't re-sign. Sam Darnold, he's on his 3rd team. Josh Allen obviously hit. Rosen, they were done with him in a year. And Lamar, those are the 5 that went. So out of those 5, 2 of them. So it's roughly about what they're.
I guess. Yeah. And so that, and I guess too, I think we get caught up in the first overall pick, the first quarterback taken off the board. Is that a guaranteed hit? But interesting nonetheless. So we take a look at all of that. I thought that was an interesting graphic that caught my attention. I figured that's a perfect thing to open up with today, as it's NFL Draft Eve, if you will. Cincinnati Bengals have the number 18 pick, and there's quite a few Cincinnati Bengals topics we need to dive into here today. Some involves Jamar Chase. Others involve the Cincinnati Bengals, how aggressive they'll be in the draft tomorrow night or this weekend. What about post-draft? How busy will the Bengals be post-draft? We're going to talk about that with Jay Morrison, Pro Football Network, coming up around the corner as well. We got a lot coming your way. It's the Kenner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio, and of course, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. We'll be right back.
Frickers doubles your savings when you use the Frickers app. Frickers doubles your points on everyday value menu item. Monday, boneless frickin' chicken wings. Double points on the Frickers app. Frickin' chicken wings. Double points. Wednesday, sirloin steak. Double points. Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks. Double points on the Frickers app. When you download the Frickers app, you can even earn points by choosing delivery. Frickers mobile app now offers delivery. Everyday values, double points, and delivery all by downloading the Frickers app. Your best value is always Frickers. Delivery participation and hours may vary by location.
Hey, let me tell you about the advantages of driving with my friends at Cordell Transportation. First of all, for the new year, they're offering brand new equipment to drive. They've purchased new equipment, and not a lot of people could say that, but they've got it, and they're ready to roll with you. Cordell Transportation is offering an incredible $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months. If you're an experienced Class A CDL driver looking for excellent benefits, home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freights, then apply today online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Oh, honey, it's our favorite leaf filter trusted pro, Matt. Matt, come in.
Hi, Mrs. Sparks. You wanted me to stop by? Is everything okay with your leaf filter gutter protection system?
Okay. Of course, silly. We wanted you to stop by for dinner as our way of thanking you.
Yes, to thank you for that free gutter inspection, the free estimate, and what was the other thing?
That lifetime guarantee.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Sparks, those are just Leaf Filter's policies. Everyone who calls Leaf Filter gets a trusted pro to come out for a free gutter inspection and estimate. And every Leaf Filter installation comes with a lifetime guarantee.
So it's not just us?
No, sir. We don't want anyone to worry about clogged gutters ever again.
You mean everyone gets this level of service?
Everyone. They just need to visit leaffilter.com/owner to schedule their free inspection.
Okay, but you must be starving. You work so hard.
Ready to love your gutter protection as much as we do? Visit leaffilter.com/owner and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Hi, this is Michael, your service manager at Dave Arbogast Buick GMC in Troy, Ohio. I am inviting you to give us an opportunity to earn your business. We have expanded our hours to better meet your needs. We are now open until 6 p.m. during the week and 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. on Saturdays. We service all makes and models. We offer convenient shuttle service as well as pickup and delivery. Please visit us on the web at arbogastbuickgmc.com or in person. Exit 69 on I-75. Look for the giant American flag. I hope to see you soon.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. And visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Protect your home and auto. And when you bundle your home and auto insurance with Progressive, you'll save money. Get a quote at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
Dayton sports fans, don't forget to follow and subscribe to ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Listen, watch, interact. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube.
Kenner and Cav, we are back with you here. Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. This time with no echo.
Hey, look at you.
Yeah, program 4 button was still pushed, you know. That's why we need some on the board that's not named Kenner. Been here for 10 years still making these mistakes. That's, you know, says a lot.
It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Off and rolling here on a Wednesday, pre-NFL, or it's NFL Draft Eve, if you will. We opened up talking, of course, about the hit rates, the success rate, if you will, position by position in the first round of the NFL Draft, going all the way back to 2000. I mean, offensive linemen have they're the only positions that are in the green as far as that chart's concerned, as far as hit rate goes. But wide receiver, that's the lowest hit rate of any position drafted in the first round. Pretty wild, considering. You know, and again, going back to 2000, that doesn't surprise me. I would love to see what that draft success rate or hit rate is like going back to 15 to now, because the league has definitely shifted to more of a passing league.
Right.
Which is weird because last year kind of balanced out a bit. It kind of bounced back into like a defensive league. But, you know, was that good defense, poor offense, what? I mean, that's the thing that's interesting. But one of the more interesting storylines last year, of course, was the Detroit Lions. And the Detroit Lions were pretty busy today. Pretty busy. They spent $110 million today. I mean, they're you know, they took care of business. But the NFL now has a new wide receiver sitting atop the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history list, and that is, of course, I always say his name wrong, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Did I get it right? I don't know why I have problems with that, but that's where we're at. But I could say Kostas Antetokounmpo, Giannis Antetokounmpo, but apparently I don't know how to, you know, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But St. Brown again, in the Lions agreed to a 4-year contract extension worth more than $120 million, including $77 million guaranteed. Now, the thing that's interesting about that $77 million guaranteed is that now surpasses Tyreek Hill and company. He has the most guaranteed money in his pocket now moving forward, which, as we'll talk about with Jay Morrison here in a little bit, that's the main sticking point in negotiations with Jamar Chase when that time comes with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Congratulations to St. Brown. You know, he was a second-round pick. I think it was a second-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, so many guys went in that draft ahead of him, and he was bold and say he was the best wide receiver in that draft, and it's showing and proving. You know, he's playing for a franchise that historically has been bad. You know, he's been a part of the turnaround up there in Detroit. They got him taken care of financially, and now we wait and see what happens with one Justin Jefferson. And then locally we wait to see what happens with Jamar Chase, because 77, that means the next one's going to be like 80, 82. The next one's going to be like 85, 88. It's a lot of money.
It is, and especially so you look at right now Tyreek Hill, the number 2, he's the second highest paid wide receiver in football, sitting behind now, you know, Morris St. Brown. And by the way, the Browns passed on him for Schwartz. So there's that. There's that. It's another day in the life of being a Browns fan. So there's that. Devontae Adams at number 3, making $28 million a year. Tyreek Hill, $30 million a year. And that's about what the total dollars per year is for St. Brown. He just surpasses Tyreek Hill in the fully guaranteed department. And the thing that's interesting, so Tyreek Hill plays with a quarterback that is not a top 5 paid quarterback in the NFL. Same thing with Devontae Adams. Same thing with Cooper Kupp. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith are interesting because they do play with a top 5 paid quarterback, and you know, their guy who just got paid last year in Jalen Hurts. But again, just like Burrow's money, it's not going to take effect that first year. It's structured differently. So but you will see the Eagles. I'll be surprised if A.J. Brown is an Eagle after this upcoming season. In fact, he almost wasn't an Eagle heading into this season. They were kicking the tires on moving on from him. The reason I bring that up is because the fifth and sixth highest paid wide receiver in football is A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, both making $25 million a year. So one of those two will be gone, most likely A.J. Brown after this upcoming season, because you can't. This is why the whole T. Higgins, Jamar Chase conversation, it got chalked up to me being a hater, but I said that was never going to happen. There was never a scenario that those three were going to be locked up long term, talking about T, Jamar, and Joe Burrow. And obviously Joe Burrow wasn't going anywhere, and if you have to pick talent-wise, Jamar Chase makes the most sense. From a business perspective, T. Higgins makes more sense because you still have a number one wide receiver, and you get him cheaper than you would Jamar Chase, and you see what kind of money we're talking about here. So it's interesting nonetheless, but the thing that's wild about all of this, you look at the highest paid wide receivers in football, all of them don't play with a quarterback that is top 5. Now, again, Jalen Hurts, yes, but that's going to shift after this upcoming year, and you'll see, of course, A.J. Brown out. The reason I bring this up, the Cincinnati Bengals, they took care of they picked up the option for Jamar Chase earlier today. So, of course, they have him for this upcoming season. They have him, with the option for next year. They could even do the franchise tag on him after that. There's a window where things can get dicey between Jamar Chase and the Cincinnati Bengals. We're sitting back saying, well, he's just waiting for this to happen. Well, how aggressive are the Cincinnati Bengals going to be in trying to get that deal done as far as that's concerned? They want it done, but wanting it done and getting it done are completely two different things. There's a lot of things I want. Doesn't mean I'm financially equipped to get it done. So I'm just basing it on this. The pattern of the NFL, I asked this yesterday, and of course people got annoyed with me, and I'm not trying to stir the pot. I'm genuinely asking, are we 1,000,000% confident that the Bengals and Jamar Chase will get a deal done? Are we 1,000,000% confident? You said 85 yesterday. That's way less than 1 million, by the way. No. Look, gun to head right now, yes, they're going to find a way to get it done, but when you start combing through the numbers, I don't know how it gets done. I don't know how you have a quarterback making $55 a year and you're going to have a wide receiver making $35 a year. I don't know how $90 million could be tied into a quarterback and a wide receiver. And that's what's wild to me. I'm not saying it can't get done or won't get done, but if the Bengals do it, they would be the first team to do it, I guess would be my point. And we don't really look at the Bengals as a trailblazing organization that resets the market for, you know what I mean? So that's what I find interesting about all of this. I think, picking up the option on Jamar Chase is step one, franchise tagging him is step two, and then drawing that out. I don't think the Bengals, when we talk about when it is time for that contract negotiation to start, if it gets a little dicey, how long before they actually get that done? And the longer you wait, as the Niners are finding out with Brendan Ayuk, the more expensive that player becomes. I find this Jamar Chase thing to be a new layer of fascination when it comes to the ongoing saga with the Bengals here.
Yeah, I mean, this thing, we talk about it all the time, and because there's new outstanding players that are due for a contract each and every year, and I say the same thing every single time. It's better to pay them early than to pay them late. You're going to end up paying the piper even more. And we talk about the salary cap going up. Yeah, if the salary cap goes up while you have your quarterback already under contract, that's a good thing because, all right, well, he's taken care of. We don't have to worry about that. And now the contracts are exploding, going higher and higher. Well, we got our most important guy taken care of. We can take care of everybody else. But when you do the fifth-year option, when you do the whole song and dance of, the franchise tag, somebody's going to – obviously, the player's going to be upset. They're not going to report to mandatory or voluntary workouts and stuff like that. They're not going to participate in the off-season workouts. The whole drama goes back and forth, back and forth. My biggest thing that I would tell any franchise, look, man, make a decision. Make a decision on what you're going to do and make it early. I know, one of the new things going around the NFL, instead of hold out, hold in.
Yeah.
You're at camp. Your agent and the guys in the front office are negotiating in good faith that you're going to be a part of this team going forward. I like that. That, all right, look, fine. We don't have the deal worked out. We're going to get it worked out. Just come to camp, and then we'll make things happen. I like that. But the whole situation where teams aren't talking to the agent and they're so far apart, that's where you end up with the drama. That's where you end up with the train wreck situation. That's where you end up with the pull hamstring situation because, the team gets down to the last second and then it's August 30th and hey, man, we got a game in 2 weeks. We got to need him. Give him what he wants. They sign, he comes in, pulled a hamstring, out 2-3 weeks. So I like the hold-in situation. At least you're negotiating in good faith.
And players are more apt to do that if they feel like the team is negotiating in good faith.
Right.
And I defended the Bengals here. T. Higgins, what he decides to do with camp coming up around the corner and all that, like it would not make sense for T to do any kind of sit in or sit out as far as that's concerned, because he's not going to be a Bengal after this upcoming season. So sitting out, players who are operating under good faith,
right,
they have to feel like the organization's doing
right.
that too. I defended the Bengals here. The Bengals haven't even made contact with T. Higgins' party to get a deal done, because
right.
the Bengals just don't want to get a deal done, in my opinion. And it's not that they don't want T. Higgins, but they're not financially prioritizing T. Higgins because there's only so much. I mean, look, it wasn't my analogy. It was the pie analogy that Duke Tobin was referring to. So, I don't mind them not even attempting to start negotiation talks with T, because it wouldn't make sense. Even if T gave you a deal at $23 million a year, you can't keep T. Higgins at $23 a year, Jamar at $33 to $35, and Joe Burrow at $55. It's not going to work. That was never going to happen. So I don't blame the Bengals there. But for Jamar Chase, from that standpoint, we're talking something 2 years from now to get to that point to where if he feels they're operating under under good faith and all that stuff, that's going to be the key. Can the Bengals keep things hunky-dory during that stretch? That's going to be the key as far as that's concerned. So
I don't know.
Doug Toby, he messages into the show on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. He says, same as all the other NFL teams who restructure contracts. I get what you're trying to say, but I'm at least listing examples of, it's not my opinion, it's their facts. Look at the wide receivers, the highest paid wide receivers. They're all playing on teams who don't have elite quarterbacks, or they're all playing on teams who have quarterbacks on rookie deals. Buffalo, yes, they moved on from Stephon Diggs, yes, because of the fact that there was some, discourse behind the scenes and all that. But, they have their one wide receiver. That's all great. That's fine. But look what it did to that roster. Look how much they had to unload this past offseason just because, okay, we know our key to win is Josh Allen, and Josh Allen needs Stephon Diggs, and they get the best out of one another. That's our best shot, is those two playing at a high level, and we just have to hope that we draft and can get enough free agents to kind of piecemeal the rest in. That's what the Bengals are embarking on. The Chiefs embarked on that. They've been fortunate. They've drafted really well. They've developed really well as far as that's concerned. So I'm fascinated by all this. Yes, the fifth-year option, picking up the option on T Jamar makes all the sense in the world, gives them an opportunity to extend those contract negotiations. Yep. But they haven't even been in talks yet because, as we talked about, he's sitting back waiting for Justin Jefferson to get that deal done. Because as good as St. Brown is, he's still not in the level of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. So Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver other than Jamar, yet to get paid. He's going to sit back and wait. That's just smart business as far as that's concerned.
Hurry up and wait.
Don't blame him. Do not blame him as far as that goes. Penei Sewell also gets a major contract. He's now the highest paid offensive lineman in football. The Lions take care of him. You know what I'm happy about? Happy for the Bengals because the drama going back years ago to that draft of Jamar Chase and Penei Sewell. Obviously, the Bengals, it would have made sense to take Penei Sewell. Probably would have been smarter to take Penei Sewell, but they didn't go wrong taking Jamar Chase either. I was wrong for being as outspoken as I was, thinking how idiotic it was to go for Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. The bottom line is it both worked out. No matter who you took, you were going to get a generational talent as far as that's concerned. Maybe generational is a little rich on both sides, but we're talking top 3 wide receiver, top 3 offensive linemen. I'd say that worked out for both sides with where both of those guys ended up.
Yeah, it worked out for both teams, worked out for both players. Obviously, Sewell just got paid, helped his team get back into the playoffs. Obviously, Cincinnati Bengals and Jamar Chase have played in the Super Bowl. He's going to get paid. Everybody's happy.
All right, we got a couple couple things coming up here on What's Trending. Let's see what is on this What's Trending list.
What is trending?
Yeah, hold up. Let me click on this. This is great radio. Let me see. A couple teases here. Yes, the Cincinnati Reds, they claimed off waivers today a former Wright State Raider. That's pretty dang cool. We'll talk about that. I wish it was Sean Murphy. But, Sean Murphy ain't just kind of hanging around on waivers, to be picked up on. So we'll talk about that around the corner. J.J. Redick, a serious candidate for an NBA coaching position. We'll get into the Brandon Ayuk conversation with the Niners starting to heat up as far as what to expect with the draft less than 24 hours away. We have all of that coming up here around the corner. Again, it's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio, Chatterbox Sports. What's trending next?
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text CASH to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text CASH to 42424. That's CASH to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Save big money on your next project. Right now at Menards. Attract a wide variety of birds to your yard with KT Birders Blend Wild Bird Seed. This mix is highly nutritious and contains a superior blend of specialty seeds, grains, and nuts. Hurry in to pick up KT Bird Seed today and head to Menards.com to see all of our great deals going on now in our weekly flyer.
Save big money at Menards.
Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken has the best fast food fried chicken. Sure, it sounds like an opinion, till you hear that USA Today readers said the same thing. Get a taste of it with the Famous Favorites Variety Box. Available at a great low price. With 5 hand-breaded strips and 5 pieces of crispy golden bone-in chicken, it's perfect for feeding your whole crew. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Did you know that although our name may be Carol Wirtz Tire, we're more than tires? We're one of the leading service centers in the area, from personal vehicles to fleet maintenance. We'll keep you on the road. Come see us at Carol Wirtz Tire. Did you know that Carol Wirtz specializes in servicing mixed fleet vehicles? We keep your business moving by tailoring our service programs to meet your company's specific needs. Let us keep your fleet on the road with Carol Wirtz Tire.
Your vehicle service needs matter to us. That's what we do. That's why Chevrolet of Troy offers the most convenient service experience in the area and the most competitive pricing. Plus, we're open Saturdays. Experience, satisfaction, and integrity. That's who we are. Chevrolet of Troy is the only dealership in Miami County with an on-site body shop. Our professionals will diagnose your vehicle quickly to get you back on the road. Now that's convenient. Chevrolet of Troy, 1375 South Market Street, and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring today. Robert Half is here to help. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
Make sure you've liked and followed the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook. Enter contests, weigh in on the latest sports debates. Plus, you can watch Kinner and Kev weekdays at 3 p.m. Yeah, as if listening to them isn't bad enough. Now you can see them. Reds, Bengals, Browns, Buckeyes, and more. Follow the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook.
We got Reds baseball coming up here later on tonight. 6:10 coverage begins for a 6:40 first pitch. Game 3 between the Reds and the Phillies. Series tied up at a game apiece. Reds end the Phillies' winning streak last night. In fact, the offense woke up after being shut out the game before. Nick Lodolo on the mound tonight. There's always a different feel when Lodolo's on the mound as of late, and it's kind of nice seeing him when he's healthy. No doubt about it. Now, Nick Lodolo got out to such a hot start last year, and obviously the injury had a lot to do with why his numbers started to decline, but looking forward to hopefully another great performance from him coming up here later on tonight. If the Reds can jump out to a 2-1 series lead, looking to close it out tomorrow. They'll be on in the afternoon, so they'll be knocking out our show, so keep that in mind, as well as off the bench, which you can catch off the bench with Trace and Elliot and Casey and the guys on YouTube at Chatterbox on YouTube, but we'll be no radio tomorrow for that, so just keep that in mind. We'll be off and rolling on Friday, and then heading into the weekend, and then starting next week, recapping all the fun stuff from, of course, the NFL draft. And that's what the big talk and debate is all about. I know I think it was Dan Graziano, ESPN, put out a list of quite a few teams who are interested in moving up in the draft. One of those teams, the Cincinnati Bengals, which is quite interesting. The Bengals aren't really known as a team that's very aggressive in the draft. Right. Even if it makes sense, they don't do it. And we'll talk about that, Jay Morrison, Pro Football Network, coming up here in just a little bit. But it'll be interesting to see if they do. The Bengals are in an interesting time period where they can't operate like they used to. They have an elite level quarterback. They have elite playmakers. They have a talent. I mean, when Joe Burrow says that window, that Super Bowl door is always open as long as he's the quarterback, it sounds like he knows it. It sounds like his teammates know it. The organization needs to know it too. Like, they need to change up how they operate too. Being aggressive is going to be key to sustaining this, and we'll see, what ends up happening. And I'm not saying that they have to trade up for the good things to happen. I really want to ask Bengals fans too, like, what's a bad draft? We do this all the time. Like, they're going to put out draft grades on Monday. Right. How do you analyze what a good or a bad draft is? I mean, we've seen some bad ones, don't get me wrong. But what would a bad draft for the Bengals look like? I don't anticipate that being the case. Draft offensive linemen, draft wide receivers, get some help on that D-line. I think you're all right as far as that's concerned. So we'll see.
You brought up Joey B. How much sway does he have, do you think, in the building with draft picks?
I'm a firm believer, not just because everyone thinks I hate the Bengals. They're not the general manager. They're the quarterback. Just go quarterback the team. I think it's dangerous. I think that's what happened with the Russell Wilson downfall. It happened with a lot. I know me and you are on opposite sides on this, but I think knowing your role, that's a horrible way to phrase it. But, staying in your lane.
Know your role, Jabroni.
Knowing your lane. I get why you could tell the organizations that aren't confident in themselves when they start, they're doing a little bit too much. Oh, let me get the chair for you, Joey B. Let me get the door for you, Joey B. Joey B, is your water cold enough? Here, let me refill your water, even though you've only taken one sip, Joey B. What do you need? You start doing that and letting him run the organization, that could be a problem. That's not a shot at Joey B. That's a shot at any organization that lets the players run the organization. I don't like that. I'm a firm believer in you're supposed to have good people up front in the front office. Let them make those decisions. Don't let the players. But you were asking about influence.
Yeah.
I don't know what that fine line is of influence. You let a player kind of have influence on a decision one time, and then the next time you don't take their advice or don't take their input, then you open the door for conflict. That's, I guess, what I mean is even though Joey B can weigh in on something and then they go that direction. What happens if he weighs in on something and they don't go that direction?
Right.
That's the risk. That's not a shot at anybody. That's the risk for any organization when you let the player feel like they should be in. Aaron Rodgers is a prime example. I like Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he should be the GM. I don't think he should have say in what the teams do on draft day and all this stuff. However, if the team continuously is making mistakes, not providing you with any first-round offensive talent in over 10-plus years of being with an organization until you draft his backup. Okay, I can see why that would upset him a little bit as far as that's concerned. But it will be. What's your thoughts on that?
If you have a franchise quarterback, I think their input should be there. I think they should have I won't say a voice in the room like we're going around and everybody gets one vote, one man, one vote type of situation. But hey, we're thinking about XYZ player. What are your thoughts on this guy? Have you checked out his tape? Have you seen him play before? Just like some type of dialogue. But to leave your franchise quarterback completely in the wind, like he's on vacation with the wife and kids, and he's finding out who we're drafting or who we're potentially thinking about, just like everybody else, just like the fans are. I think that's kind of weird. I mean, I would imagine that the Chiefs have, talked to Mahomes.
You mean the 3-time Super Bowl champion Mahomes?
I'm just saying.
No, you are 1,000,000%. It's not wrong. I fear that opening the door to, they weigh in on something and you do it and it works great. What happens when you don't take what they say and operate with that? Then you open the door for, doesn't matter what I say. Every time I say to do something, you guys don't do it, so don't ask me. You know what I mean? Like, it's that. It's the risk of that, I guess.
I guess it's all about, like, relationships between, saying front office and the actual player. That can you have that conversation without it turning weird?
Yeah.
You take the input, I won't say, like, with a grain of salt, but, like, okay, all right, well, let's see what this guy is about. Or, like, if Mahomes or whomever the quarterback is like, or wants to get into, GM life after his career is over. And like, hey, man, I've been looking at tape. I really like X, Y, and Z. Take a look at them. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's a big problem. What's the problem with an extra set of eyes on prospects?
Your camera freeze?
I don't think so. I think I'm working.
Is your laptop?
Oh, I am frozen. No, I'm wide awake.
All right, we'll figure that out.
I'll close and come back
in a moment. But the thing is, too, like, I don't think, there was the article that came out, too, regarding, the Chiefs. So you bring that up, the Patrick Mahomes thing. He was not made aware that they were moving on from Tyreek Hill. That was kind of a surprise that they moved on from Tyreek Hill. And that's after winning a Super Bowl.
Right.
So if you ask Tyreek Hill, or if you ask Patrick Mahomes about that, what do you think he's going to? No, we need Patrick, or we need Tyreek Hill. We need Tyreek Hill. You ask Joe Burrow, of course, we need T. Higgins. We need Jamar Chase. So, of course, like, the quarterbacks are going to give you their perspective of how that benefits them. More so, you think Joe Burrow's going to say, or Patrick Mahomes, I like Tyreek Hill. He's all right. He's pretty good. But I think we need to, we really need to be worried about our linebacker of the future for the next 4 years. And our defensive quarterbacks don't think that way. They think about them. But, yes, we're not saying, I guess I'm being dramatic to one end, saying, Joe Burrow's in there making the draft decisions and all that stuff. No, nothing like that. But nonetheless. All right, so Kenner and Kev Show, your camera's working again.
Yep, we're back.
Right, cool. Everything works out when it's all said and done. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to jump in on the conversation. But let's take a look at some of the news and headlines around the world of sports, kind of what's trending a little bit. How about this? In a new wrinkle to the Manning cast, Kev, Bill Belichick is expected to be a regular, reoccurring part of the show this Monday Night Football season, according to details from The Athletic.
I like that. I saw Coach Belichick's interview he had on the McAfee show, just like Saban. He gets guys to let their hair down and relax, and, it's not the same old stuffy Bill, we're on to Cincinnati, all that type of stuff. They relax, and you get to, vibe with them a little bit. So I'm here for that.
Yeah, and first of all, Belichick's one of those. I mean, we're going to see Nick Saban coming up on the game day set for the draft coming up tomorrow night and moving into the weekend. So it's cool when you see those curmudgeon-y old coaches that are always so cranky with the media. Now they get to be kind of loose a little bit and interact and just kind of show their personalities off. Because I've talked to KB about this. Byers played for Bill Belichick, or Belichick was on the staff of Bill Parcells when KB played there. He's not the same. I mean, the guy you see with the media, the guy you see even in some of those clips of like Hard Knocks and others, it's not always that.
Right.
It's not always that. And that's what always fascinates me about the range that coaches can go from who they are with the media to who they are with their players.
Right.
That's pretty fascinating. I called the games for Wright State this year. Scott Nagy's not a guy that has a whole lot of personality. Until I'm on the bus and see how he interacts with the players, it's like completely different. How he interacts with his coaching staff, completely different. So it's wild seeing how when a coach is comfortable around people,
right,
how different they act. So I'm excited to see Bill Belichick in that realm, as you talked about. What's that?
No, we got a small glimpse of that with Belichick. I forget what it was or what year it was. It was when Randy Moss was with the Patriots and he went into coach's office.
Oh, the party, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, hey, man, we thinking about doing a Halloween party. Is that cool with you? He's like, absolutely. He got, like, hype for it. Like, whoa, Belichick
You think I don't like the party? Yeah.
Getting down at a Halloween party? Okay. So, like, we get small glimpses of it, and now we're going to get even more. And, you know, for my mom, this is how crazy my mom is. She has the Manning cast on one TV and then the actual game on another TV. She loves the Manning cast. She loves it.
Yeah, but you know which one I don't like? I don't like Diana Taurasi, and I do not like Rapinoe's wife. What's her name? I always forget her name.
Sue Bird.
Sue Bird. Yeah, no more. I don't like that Manning cast. I like the Manning cast as far as no. Anything you can get the athletes involved, former athletes, current athletes, whatever, it's good. It's not going to, for those out there that say, well, that's not for me, then you're probably not the target demo.
We have another
that.
audience.
And then,
we have another channel.
That's why it's called, you have options, nonetheless. Ohio State wide receiver commit Chris Henry Jr. is the new number one prospect in the 2026 On3 industry rankings after recent updates. So Ohio State has never had struggles getting wide receivers, of course, as far as that's concerned, and their dominance in that department continues. But Chris Henry continues to add stars to his name, and he moves up. He's the number one wide receiver in the class of 2026, and the Buckeyes have a commitment from him already.
Absolutely. This is awesome. But I will say this. He has moved to California. He doesn't live in Cincinnati anymore, so he's transferred schools. He doesn't live here anymore. I'll believe he's a Buckeye when he's a Buckeye. With today's NIL situation and everything that goes on, a verbal commitment is as good as toilet paper. It doesn't mean anything until you actually, sign on the dotted line on signing day. So when he's officially a Buckeye, that's when I'll get super excited.
Fair enough. And, Lincoln Riley, he has that triple ply. He has that, quadruple ply. I mean, his toilet paper might be nicer than Ryan Day's toilet paper. I mean, you never know.
Never know.
As far as that goes. We talked about Trey Townsend yesterday, the Horizon League Player of the Year, one of the great players on the Oakland team that upset Kentucky. He had Ohio State with the Buckeyes on the hardwood, listed as a finalist between them and Arizona. He ultimately picked Arizona. When it's all said and done. So, I thought Bronny was coming. I thought, Trey was coming. I thought Golke was going to get a 9th year of eligibility and come to Ohio State. I thought it was all happening.
Look, man.
Akpara check the deuces.
I love the Buckeyes. I love the Buckeyes. I love my great state of Ohio. But if you're telling me that I can go to Arizona, I'm going to Arizona, dude. Have you ever been to Arizona?
I have.
Have you been to Arizona as an adult? How about that?
No, I have not.
Okay, yeah. Go to Arizona as an adult.
It's a dry heat.
You won't want to come back. Because when I went, I was like, wait, I have to leave?
Are you saying Columbus is boring?
No, I love Columbus. Columbus is a great time, especially in the spring and summer. It's those pesky February days that I'm not a fan of.
That's fine. That's why we should be at the shot watching them win basketball games. That's why. Don't worry about it.
True.
He doesn't need to be worried about Columbus in February. But maybe that's why. Columbus in February has not been very fun basketball-wise.
Yeah, that too.
So Felix Akpara, who transferred out of Ohio State, has just completed a visit. The 6'11 sophomore completed a visit with Tennessee.
Tennessee.
So interesting to see where he ends up when it's all said and done as far as that's concerned. So let's see what else we got on deck here. Yes. So San Francisco 49ers reportedly are asking for a first-round pick for teams calling about Brandon Ayuk at this point.
When teams are having guys out there that want to be traded or want a contract extension, it always starts out the exact same way. We want a first-round pick. All right, we want a second and a sixth. And then ultimately they settle for like a third-round pick. Like, I remember when the Bears secured the number one pick, and they can get like a second-round pick for Justin Fields. It ended up being a 6th-round pick. The same compensation that the Patriots got for Mac Jones. Like, that's the reality of the situation. We always, as fans, like, man, we trade him, we get a 2nd-round pick. What we think and what actually happens are two totally different things. They'll probably ultimately, if they trade him, they'll probably get like a 2nd and a 4th or something like that, which is still quality for his production. But a first-round pick, highly unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. The thing that's wild, though, so we took a look at the hit rate. Wide receivers have the lowest hit rate in the NFL. So I've always said this, too. If you were a team like the Houston Texans and now they got Stephon Diggs, but let's say they didn't get Stephon Diggs. I know. I don't like I don't like market value for everything. Market value for everything drives me nuts because that's what market value is, but he may have more value to you than what the market is showing and vice versa. Or, the market value drives me nuts because, like, when we talk about quarterbacks getting paid and all this, that, and the other, like, okay, not worth a whole lot of money, but what's he worth to you?
Right.
Joe Flacco to the Browns. Joe Flacco, if I'm the Browns and they didn't have this disaster contract with Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, based on how he performed last year, you would say Flacco on the free agent market, he's not going to get a whole hell of a lot. But the Browns, if you feel he is the quarterback for you based on what he got out of your offense last year, then he's a lot more valuable to you. You pay him. I don't care what the market says. You pay him what you find suitable to you to make sure that you get him. So we just took a look at the hit rate for wide receivers. Of all the positions drafted in the first round, they have the lowest hit rate of any other position in football. So if you as a Houston Texans team or you as a team that have the money to spend, are you going to take a chance? You have a 27% chance that the wide receiver you take in the first round is going to be worth a damn. Or you know how good Brandon Ayuk is. Use that first rounder to go get him. That's all I mean. Like, I get the value thing, too. With Brandon Ayuk, you got to pay him right away.
Right.
So that kind of – but, again, the draft is you're gambling. You're taking a chance. You're hoping that these prospects, they're suspects until proven otherwise. So, Brandon Ayuk, I get it's wild. They will not get a first rounder for him. And this is why I'm not a GM, because I would suck at it, apparently. But in my view – 27% chance you have of getting a wide receiver that's worth a damn if you pick him in the first round. Or you can trade that first rounder for Brandon Ayuk and get a bona fide star wide receiver right off the bat, and you get the most bang for your buck as far as that's concerned. That's how I kind of view it. But I think it's different for every team, obviously.
And that's my point right there. It's different for every team because that's the overall boom or bust situation with draft picks. But what about your team? What is your team hit rate? How good are you at finding talent? How good are you at not only finding that talent and developing that talent for your team? But just because the Bengals aren't good at this doesn't necessarily mean that my team can't go ahead and identify a guy and bring him in. I mean, like the Steelers, like the biggest calling card for them is like they don't draft wide receivers in the first round. They always draft them in the second and third round. Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Hines Ward, like all these guys, like, well, that we don't do that in the first round. The one guy that they did draft in the first round was Santonio Holmes, OHIO, Super Bowl MVP as well. He didn't get a second contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but all the other dudes did. So, like, like you just said, look at that, but also be looking at how your team develops said talent.
So that's why I don't like when we put, he's not worth a first rounder. Well, we just say that's a blanket statement.
Right.
But to a team like the Houston Texans, you have Stephon Diggs. All right, if let's say you didn't have Stephon Diggs, and you needed that bona fide number one wide receiver, and you have the money to spend, now he's worth the number one wide receiver to me because my quarterback's on a rookie deal for the next 3 years, 4 years with an option. So that's how I view it to that. And that goes back to earlier, too. We talked about the Bengals with wide receivers and the Patriots with wide receivers. Patriots can't draft a wide receiver to save their life. The Bengals keep accidentally stumbling upon generational wide receivers decade after decade after decade. I mean, you think of the great wide receivers that have played with the Bengals in my lifetime alone. They've never not had a star wide receiver on their roster in my lifetime. They've never not had that. And that's what's wild to me. I mean, maybe the 90s you could take that. But the point that from the 2000s on, they have never not had a dominant number one, whether it was Chad Ochocinco, whether it was obviously A.J. Green. Now you have two on one roster right now. And so that's why I'm like, the Bengals doing this, we got to give Jamar every penny he's asking for. We got to give T we got to find a way to keep him. Have confidence in the one thing that you actually do well, which is draft wide receivers. Offensive linemen, I see why you panic and overspend on them because you have to secure that because you don't draft them well. It goes back to every team has different needs nonetheless.
For $1 American, can you tell me what round Stephon Diggs was drafted in?
Fourth.
Fifth.
Damn it, I said it with confidence. I was hoping I was right. Be like, yeah, I know. Where drafted in the fifth round, you said?
Yep. To the Vikings, yep. Diggs was selected in the fifth round with the 146th pick to the Minnesota Vikings.
And see, that's another
2005.
team. The Vikings are another team that get generational wide receiver after generational wide receiver, and they might have two on the same roster again.
Ridiculous.
Whether it's Randy Moss, whether they had Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, Addison now. I mean, look out. Like, that's another team like the Bengals. They always have those elite level wide receivers. So, nonetheless, as far as that's concerned. Hour 2 coming up next. It's the Kenner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. Don't go anywhere.
I lock up my Old Spice Fiji aluminum-free dry spray to keep that 24/7 lasting freshness safe for myself. Fresh coconuts, palm trees in the wind. It's like catching waves in Fiji. Actually, I just talked myself into a refreshing spritz of Fiji. My Old Spice is missing! No!
Progressive asks, what do a middle school slumber party,
Let's stay up all night. Yeah!
a sleep-deprived girl, an early morning paper route, and a poorly thrown rolled-up newspaper have in common?
Hey, my window!
They can become a fast-breaking news story.
Sorry, Mr. Thompson.
Bundle your home and auto with Progressive for great savings and round-the-clock protection.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, we have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-460-3550. So if you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, call now. Find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-460-3550 to speak with a live person now.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
Have you heard? Bath Creations has moved to their new location and showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton. This gives you even more opportunity to see the incredible amenities and craftsmanship Bath Creation offers. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful, modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or online at mybathcreations.com and get a new bath today.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. See Lance Roofing and Siding at their new location at 6903 Dayton Springfield Road in Enon. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722. Online at lanceroofing.com.
Hey, let me tell you about the advantages of driving with my friends at Cordell Transportation. First of all, for the new year, they're offering brand new equipment to drive. They purchased new equipment, and not a lot of people could say that, but they've got it, and they're ready to roll with you. Cordell Transportation is offering an incredible $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months. If you're an experienced Class A CDL driver looking for excellent benefits, home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freights, then apply today online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Frickers doubles your savings when you use the Frickers app. Frickers doubles your points on everyday value menu item. Monday, boneless frickin' chicken wings. Double points on the Frickers app. Tuesday, traditional frickin' chicken wings. Double points. Wednesday, sirloin steak. Double points. Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks. Double points on the Frickers app. When you download the Frickers app, you can even earn points by choosing delivery. Frickers mobile app now offers delivery. Everyday values, double points, and delivery, all by downloading the Frickers app. Your best value is always Frickers.
Delivery participation and hours may vary by location.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
If you're a man over 40, feeling like you're falling off in your workouts, career, maybe even in the bedroom, it could be lower testosterone, but you can do something about it. Men across America have beaten the slump thanks to Nugenix Total T. Let's hear from some Nugenix callers. This is Ron from Dallas.
Unlike other supplements that might lead to jitters or crashes, Nugenix provides a steady increase in energy. I've experienced consistent energy levels throughout my workouts, helping me maintain the intensity from start to finish.
Frank from Chicago, you're on on air.
It works, and it does everything everyone else is saying. I'm in my mid-40s. Sex drive improved, more energy, and I feel stronger.
Don't wait. Text ACTIVE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone-boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ACTIVE to 321-321. That's ACTIVE to 321-321.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Get ready for adventure with Jeff Schmidt Lawn Sports. We are stocked with all things Polaris and their full line of ATVs. For work, home, or play, go to JeffSchmidtLawnandMotorsports.com.
You want more Reds talk? Don't miss Wing Reds Weekly with Adam Campbell. Sunday nights at 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's radio home of Cincinnati Reds baseball. 1410 ESPN Radio.
And we are back. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. Happy Wednesday. NFL Draft Eve, of course, as we've been talking about pretty much all show long, and we'll continue. Jay Morrison, Pro Football Network, covers your Cincinnati Bengals. He'll join us coming up here in just about a half hour. We'll ask him about his thoughts on the the future negotiations between the Bengals and Jamar Chase. Of course, they picked up the option, so they at least get him for the next 2 years before they could either potentially place the franchise tag on him. Of course, we talked about the contract negotiations or the extension that we just saw today with Brown for the Lions, the highest paid wide receiver in football now. $77 million guaranteed of his $120 million contract over 4 years. 77 of it's guaranteed, the most guaranteed money ever by a wide receiver.
I mean, he's worth it.
Yep.
He's worth it. He gets in the end zone. He gets first down. He's can play. He's more in the slot type of guy, but I mean, he makes explosive plays. And I mean, shoot, you're looking at it right now. I mean, take advantage while Jared Goff isn't breaking the bank. Jared Goff isn't broke, but I mean, he's not breaking the bank like a lot of other quarterbacks out there. So go ahead, take care of your weapons, and shoot, you still got enough money to go ahead and pay your left tackle. You know what I'm saying? So this is what you do. Take care of your own. A lot of people made such a big deal about, the Dallas Cowboys not making any splashes in free agency. Well, their free agency is their own guys. Like, that's their priority, to make sure they're able to bring back Michael Parsons, take care of CeeDee Lamb, rework, Dak's contract or not. You know what I'm saying? So, I think, when you take care of your own guys, it not only sets a good tone for the locker room, for the guys that are playing well, they're all rookie contracts. Like, oh, man, they took care of St. Brown. If I continue to ball out, they'll take care of me as well. Yep. Good for morale.
Yeah, so we'll see kind of what all goes down as far as that's concerned. The Lions are at that stage, too. So they took care of Penei Sewell as well, who's now the highest paid offensive lineman in football. So that was a big deal for them getting that done just a little bit ago, as far as that's concerned. Shaw, I'm trying to see what Shaw says.
Shawski.
Shaw says St. Brown is a top wide receiver in the game.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the highest paid wide receiver in football if he isn't, as far as that goes. Brad, what up, Brad? Brad says, I agree, Kenner. If the Dolphins decided on wide receiver one, I would rather have Ayuk and all that. So that goes back to our Brandon Ayuk conversation to close out the first hour. People were mocking the Niners all day for saying there were reports out there, really this came out yesterday, that the Niners are asking for a first-rounder for Brandon Ayuk. And we laugh at that. We mock that because, well, there's no way that they're going to get a first-rounder for him. But my big thinking is this. When you look at the most explosive teams in the NFL, I mean, the Bengals went from a 2-win team, a 4-win team, to a Super Bowl appearance. Yes, you had defense. You had to get a lot of holes filled, but they were an unstoppable offense with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow and company. You had Tyler Boyd in there and Joe Mixon and company. So, but that was such an explosive roster because you don't ever see that because it's tough. You have to be very fortunate to hit on a rookie quarterback and hit on two number one wide receivers in back-to-back drafts. So that's what made them such a unique situation. So if you find yourself in a position where you can go get something like that, if you can get a Brandon Ayuk for a first-rounder, some may say, well, like the Bengals, we're not giving up a first-rounder for Brandon Ayuk. Well, you're not in position to acquire a wide receiver like that. But if you're the Texans or a team with the rookie quarterback, if you're the Chicago Bears or whoever, you have to really consider those options. Giving up a number one to get a proven wide receiver makes a lot of sense, especially because the hit rate for wide receivers in the first round is 27%. So, we'll just draft a wide receiver. That's awesome. You have a 27% chance of getting that pick correct. And if you miss on that, Now you don't have Brandon Ayuk. You missed on your first-round wide receiver. Not that you can't. We just heard from Kev. Stephon Diggs was a fifth-round pick. But you see my point. First-rounders, there's a reason we put so much stock in there, because with those picks, you're expected to hit on those. You can be forgiven if you take a wide receiver in the 4th or 5th and they don't pan out, so be it. But you take one in the first round, they better pan out. The Chargers are kicking themselves with the Quentin Johnson pick. You know what I mean? Like, I was excited about that pick for Justin Herbert. I was like, man, they're going to get Quentin Johnson on a rookie deal coming up right as they're about to pay Justin Herbert. That's huge for the Chargers. Not so huge anymore because they moved on from Keenan Allen. They had to move on from their wide receivers, their running backs, and Eckler. Quentin Johnson does not look like anything that he's supposed to be. We'll see what happens in year 2.
Right.
But yeah, 27% hit rate. That's not very good.
Yeah, that's alarming. I mean, shoot, I was big on Quentin Johnston as well. Being a big slot receiver with, all the guys they got out there last year, and he just didn't produce. But now he's the only guy. He's the only guy out there. So we're going to see what he's able to do with Harbaugh and Herbert this upcoming season. They're going to go heavy play action. They're going to be a good run team out there. So he should be able to get some one-on-one coverage out there, make some plays downfield.
Moving on to this, too. We missed a couple things on the last part, but the Reds made a move today. They claimed outfielder Peyton Burdick off waivers from the Orioles and optioned him to Louisville. Now, the reason that's significant is because Peyton Burdick is a former Wright State Raider. Wright State kind of turned into a little MLB factory over the last 10 years. I mean, they've had guys in the majors for a while, but I mean, it's just on the regular. Quincy Hamilton and some other guys are about to be, potentially called up here in the near future too. But they have a lot. I mean, you look at the fact that Sean Murphy, arguably the best catcher in baseball on the Atlanta Braves right now. You know what I mean? Like that, the former Raider. It's pretty cool seeing these former Raiders, hit in the majors. And I'm excited to see if they ever call him up. Peyton Burdick, who had a home run against the Reds last year. He can hit the baseball. He can knock it out of the ballpark. I watched him do it at the Nish quite a few times, and it's kind of exciting having a Wright State Raider be, playing on the Reds now. Hopefully playing for the Reds, not just in the farm system.
Raider up, baby.
So we'll see how that goes nonetheless. How about this highlight? They were highlighting some of the worst trades, draft trades.
Oh.
And the craziest trade, the worst trade ever, could potentially be, depending on how Bryce Young turns out with the Panthers. Okay? The Panthers got Bryce Young. The Bears take the Bryce Young trade, all right, that they had, they end up getting Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Caleb Williams, most likely, obviously, Tyreek Stevenson, Darnell Wright, and a second-round pick in 2025.
I mean, off that alone, it's the best trade for the Bears.
I'd say it worked out pretty good.
Indeed. Goodness gracious, man. What a debacle in Carolina. I mean, we kind of thought like, okay, man, they're kind of cooking with something. And mainly I thought that because of Frank Wright. Like, all right, man, you got a guy that's a good play caller, a guy that has head coaching experience. You got a young rookie quarterback. It's going to work out. They fired him halfway through the season. And that's what happens when you have meddling owners, and not allowing, the football guys to be football guys, So now they're on to a new GM and another new head coach. Stay away from the Panthers. Stay away.
No doubt. And Adam, what up, Adam? Adam Selzner on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page says the Carolina-Chicago trade is on pace for the worst, most lopsided, draft trade, in the history of the league. And no doubt about that one. You could tell the franchises that across the board fans just don't care about. Because if the Browns, people love burying the Browns for stuff. The Bengals, people love burying the Bengals when they make mistakes. If the Browns, who have made mistakes, but if the Browns did that, holy smokes. People just don't care about Carolina. They should care about Denver, but how people say the Deshaun Watson deal in Cleveland is worse than the Russell Wilson deal in Denver is beyond me. I'm literally doing the loser, my bad contract's not as bad as your bad contract, but that's what I'm doing here at this point. But you could just tell the teams that people love to hate, Cincinnati and Cleveland, if the Bengals made a move like the Lions or like the Panthers did or the Browns, oh, man, it would be all over every talk show out there just blasting those organizations. The Panthers don't get ripped enough. What's another bad organization that doesn't get ripped? I mean, Chicago gets ripped, but not ripped enough.
I think they get ripped tons.
Really?
Tons, yeah.
I guess they kind of do. That's why a lot of people said no Caleb Williams. He got the Joe Burrow treatment. People said Joe Burrow shouldn't go Cincinnati, quarterback killer franchise and all this other stuff.
Jets get ripped a ton.
But the people care about the Jets. That's what I'm trying to say. People care about the Jets.
Okay. Yeah.
the Chargers should be getting ripped more.
Who's you're talking about who slides under the radar?
Under the radar.
Yeah, okay.
And in baseball, we talked about it the other day. I said the Angels are that. The Angels are the organization that just continues to miss after miss after miss, but they have talent all over the roster year after year after year and have nothing to show for it as far as that's concerned. But, we'll see.
We'll see
what ultimately ends up happening. How about J.J. Redick, a serious candidate, being considered for the Hornets head coaching position and could land another interview? Now, I don't know if that means like another interview for the Hornets job, like we'll call you back for a second,
right,
or another interview for another job that's out there. Do you see J.J. Redick landing a head coaching position in the NBA here in the next year or two?
Man, I hope not. I mean, if that's what he wants, obviously I would want that for him on a personal level. But, I love what he does on ESPN. I love both his podcasts, The Old Man and the Three, and the one he does with LeBron. I love those. And, I mean, obviously you wouldn't be able to do those anymore being the NBA head coach. But, I mean, I just think, like, him – dipping his toes into the coaching world would be probably beneficial because he sees things from a younger perspective. He recently got out the league. And, I mean, the Charlotte Hornets aren't like anything to write home about, but Brandon Miller, the rookie out of Alabama, he got game. He got go. He got some real game to him. If it wasn't for Wemby and Chet, he will be Rookie of the Year this upcoming season. But there is a guy named Wemby who's going to ultimately win it. And somehow Chet is eligible to win the Rookie of the Year, even though it's the second year, neither here nor there. But, I mean, the biggest problem with the Hornets is keeping LaMelo healthy on the court. Like, I don't know what's up with the Ball brothers and their ankles, but they need to drink some more milk.
Well, look, I like the idea of Redick coaching. I think a couple of years ago, maybe not, but right now it's a youth movement amongst coaches. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's about, can you relate to these athletes? I mean, look, even the worst coach, I mean, people hate Tom Thibodeau, right? The guy knows basketball. Mm-hmm. He knows X's and O's. It's, can you get the most out of the talent that's on the floor?
And they do.
I think sometimes, and does a good job. But, like, you look at Redick, he knows basketball.
Right.
So that's not going to be the issue. It's will the players play for him? And I think he's one of those guys. These guys have been watching him stand up for every athlete in the NBA over the last 2-3 years to every big media head out there. I mean, he's been going screaming at Stephen A. Smith, going at, of course, Mad Dog Russo. I mean, he's been the players' media guy, kind of defending from the players' perspective. I mean, he's going to have the respect of every athlete that he coaches in the NBA. So I think it will work. But of course, it comes down to talent. We say, it will work. Well, they're not going to go to the Hornets and take a team that has talent but not enough talent to win a championship and win a championship. They have to be able to provide that for him as well. So who knows? But I thought that was interesting as far as that's concerned when it's all said and done. Last thing on this, teams picking outside the top 11 that are looking to trade up, according to Dan Graziano, the Colts, the Jaguars, the Rams, the Eagles, and the Bengals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who would the Colts be trading up to get?
The Colts, oh, by the way, that's a team that everyone loves to bury, but they kept winning. Like, they were in the hunt. Like, you would have thought that they would have been garbage last year based on how many people hate their owner, right? Owner's a very interesting individual. Let's just put it that way. But, like, people root for them to fail, and then they always seem to, you know what I mean? Like, the Colts are an interesting team as far as that's concerned. But what would be their need? I mean, wide receiver? Could they be looking at, who's their tight end right now?
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe they're going after
Bowers. Or a wide receiver or whatever. So, we'll see.
They got Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs as their two wide receivers, but I'm not sure who their tight end is. Mo Ali Cox is one of their tight ends. So I would
Former
think
VCU
Bowers.
Ram.
I think Bowers would be a good fit for them.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. We're going to talk about Bowers. We're going to talk about the Bengals potentially trading up in the draft. We're going to get to that coming up here in about 15 minutes with Jay Morrison from Pro Football Network. But, hey, Reggie Bush got his Heisman back. He got his Heisman back. Maybe it was Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel threatened to never show up to another Heisman presentation again until Reggie Bush got it back. Well, he got it back. So good news. We'll get to see more Johnny Manziel, by the way. But we'll talk about that when we come back. Skinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Nine out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring today. Robert Half is here to help. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
Oh, honey,
Honey, it's our favorite leaf filter trusted pro, Matt. Matt, come in, come in.
Hi, Mrs. Sparks. You wanted me to stop by? Is everything okay with your leaf filter gutter protection system?
Okay, of course, silly. We wanted you to stop by for dinner as our way of thanking you.
Yes, to thank you for that free gutter inspection, the free estimate, and what was the other thing?
That lifetime guarantee.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Sparks, those are just Leaf Filter's policies. Everyone who calls Leaf Filter gets a trusted pro to come out for a free gutter inspection and estimate. And every Leaf Filter installation comes with a lifetime guarantee.
So it's not just us?
No, sir. We don't want anyone to worry about clogged gutters ever again.
You mean everyone gets this level of service?
Everyone. They just need to visit leaffilter.com/owner to schedule their free inspection.
Okay, but you must be starving. You work so hard.
Ready to love your gutter protection as much as we do? Visit leaffilter.com/owner and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6580. That's 800-583-6580.
What's the room again?
1240, down at the end.
Ooh, what's that?
Sammy, don't touch that. That's someone's old food.
Here we are. Do you have the key?
You have both of ours.
Oh, right. Not working.
Rub it.
Come on.
Try flipping it over.
Seriously. Why can't we go inside? I'm tired.
Give me yours.
You have mine.
All right.
What?
Please, if you
Dad,
could just...
why aren't you opening the door?
Can everyone just shut the...
Don't go there. Go on a real vacation. Go RVing. Learn more at GoRVing.com.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Free! Who doesn't love free? With Milo's Rewards, you get the member-only treatment that's actually worth it. Enjoy free member gifts you'll love. And once you reach Silver Key status, you can get free standard shipping. Because Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Learn more about our new loyalty program at Lowe's.com/Milo's Rewards today. Program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details. Member gifts may be subject to additional terms and restrictions. See Lowe's.com/shipping terms for details. Subject to change.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
1410 ESPN Radio gives you 5 straight hours of local sports talk every weekday. Don't miss Off the Bench with Trace Fowler at 1 p.m., followed by the Kinner from 3 to 6 p.m. The best local sports talk in the Miami Valley, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio and on the iHeartRadio app.
And we are back. Kenner and Kev, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. We welcome you back. Happy Wednesday. Jay Morrison, Pro Football Network, joins us coming up here in about 10 minutes. We'll talk with him about your Cincinnati Bengals, the option that was picked up, of course, for Jamar Chase. We'll talk about what's next in regards to the negotiations for that extension, especially after what we saw with the Lions in St. Brown today. The highest paid now wide receiver in football, has the most guaranteed money in NFL history at $77 million of his $120 million 4-year contract extension. So pretty unique. We'll talk about that. What's the likelihood that we see the Bengals be aggressive and move up in the draft tomorrow? And, how likely is it that if Brock Bowers is sitting there at 18 that the Bengals potentially, take him? We'll talk about all of that coming up with Jay Morrison, covers your Bengals, Pro Football Network, here in just a moment. So this was just released, ESPN's Adam Schefter, that the Pittsburgh Steelers will not pick up the option for Justin Fields. And so that means they are heading into a season where it's the last year on the contract for both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields.
Absolutely. I mean, you're not going to pay your backup quarterback $25 million. Like, I could see a situation where obviously they don't pick up the option year, but they sign him to a contract, maybe like 2 years, $10 million or something very similar to what who was it? It was Green Bay that did that with Jordan Love. Like, hey, we're going to give this contract, kind of like a show and prove type of situation. Now Jordan Love's under contract right now. Still a very young player. Probably, I think the Packers have the youngest roster in the league. But, all right, that's settled. And then your next contract is going to be your huge contract. So I have absolutely no problem with this. I mean, he hasn't shown anything enough to be rewarded with a $25 million for 1 year type of contract.
Not bad for a guy that went to have a first and second round trade value to that. But look, we've seen this isn't the end of the world. We've seen it work out recently. I mean, Gardner Minshew's won.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield's won, who's now not a franchise quarterback, but a guy that the Bucs have locked up for 3 or 4 years. So, it's not the end of the world really either for either quarterback. Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's 36?
What is Russ?
I think he's 36 or whatever. So if that's the case, you can get another 3-year run if you could prove that you could still play at a high level.
Russ will be 36 in November.
So that's not old. I'm 34. I hope that ain't old. But, nonetheless, Kev looks way younger than me. I'll just leave it at that. But it's all said and done. It's not the end of the world for Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, and to be honest, the team that's in the best situation there is the Steelers. You're not paying them hardly anything. So it'll be interesting to see which one of those two takes advantage of this opportunity coming up. Obviously, Fields is going to have more pressure on him because if Russell plays well, Fields is basically going to not make hardly any money next season as playing on another prove-it deal when it's all said and done. So there's that. Other news today. Reggie Bush has his 2005 Heisman Trophy back as the Heisman Trust announced Wednesday the formal reinstatement of the trophy to Bush amid what it calls enormous changes in the college football landscape. And everyone out there is about time. I know we're on opposite sides of this. Look, bottom line is I'm not losing sleep that he got it back. But he knew you're not allowed to take I know that right now every player's doing this. It's part of college football now. But it wasn't then. And you knew it wasn't then, which is why they tried to hide it, which is what led to the sanctions, which was what led to it getting taken away in the first place. I don't like at the end of the day, you knowingly broke a rule. That may not be a rule now, but at the time it was, and you knowingly broke it. And this idea that it was unfair that he didn't have it is just wild to me. I had no issue with him not having it. I'm not losing sleep that he got it back, but this idea that he was a victim is laughable to me. He was not a victim. You knowingly accepted stuff you weren't supposed to accept, and you got held accountable for it. I know that's so against what athletes are used to, being held accountable for anything that they do wrong in life. But my goodness, give me a break. But he got it back. Everyone seems to be happy with it. I don't know what sparked this happening. I do think that the Heisman Trust got a lot of hate for the OJ thing recently. I don't know if that's why. But the Reggie thing picked up again after the love affair that they had with O.J. Simpson's passing, and it was like, hold up, that guy you're going to hold to a high standard, and and all of this stuff, but Reggie you're going to stiff arm out. So I don't know if that's what led to this or not, but regardless, he got it back. I'm not losing sleep over it, but my opinion still hasn't changed. I don't think he should have got it back, but I don't have a problem with him having it back. It is what it is.
Yeah, I just don't understand like people lost their minds, because we talked about it when OJ passed, that the two places that honored him or said anything was the Heisman Twitter page, and the Hall of Fame flew flags at half staff, which I thought was very weird. I mean, he didn't serve this country. He was a football player and an actor. He didn't serve, so that was weird for me. But I mean, shoot, I saw that the Heisman gave him his trophy back, and USC is retweeting it and all in the comments and everything like that. But they didn't say a word when they posted about OJ, which was, I won't say weird, but it was weird. Like, they pretended like he never played there, so it is weird. But as far as Reggie getting his Heisman back, I think it's awesome that he gets his Heisman trophy back. And just like everything in this country, things that weren't, quote unquote, legal are legal now. There was a holiday that just passed on Saturday that things weren't legal in this state, which they are legal now. And a lot of those people that were sentenced to jail got clemency, and they got their charges reduced, and they got their records expunged, because we as a society move forward and realize, okay, these things are okay now.
No, and I get that, but it's not so much, okay, what he did, okay, now it's allowed, so now we're gonna, but it's the act of defiance. You knew you couldn't do it and did it anyways. The rules don't apply to me. I'm Reggie freaking Bush, man. I'm Reggie Bush. And by the way, I was one of the biggest Reggie Bush fans in college. Holy smokes. I mean, that guy, unbelievable, right? But this idea that you knew you couldn't do it, did it anyways, rules changed, now you're mad that you were held accountable. You're not held accountable based on rules of today. You were held accountable based on that. So I get what you're saying, but I don't, because I'm like, at the time, though, you weren't allowed to, and you knowingly knew it, and you knowingly did it anyways. That's the problem. It's the act of defiance that's the problem to me, not so much the rule, the silly rule. I agree it was a silly rule, but you knew it. It's like me. I have to pay this stupid speeding ticket that this robot caught me going pretty fast, actually. It was pretty fast. I took the blame. I don't know if it was me or the wife. I just went ahead and ate both tickets.
Wow, enough.
Got two $85 tickets, 3 miles apart. No, it's 2 miles apart. Ouch. So, I was going to try to fight it, all that, but I have no... sorry, I was in a hurry. I had a bathroom attack. I had to hurry up and get home. There was really nothing I could do to defend myself. I was pissed. Now, let's say they changed that speed limit from 35 to 55 in the next year. Do I have the right to call back and say I want my $170 back?
I would.
I wouldn't, because I was speeding.
Anyways. I know I would.
You know why I know?
A lot of money.
My guy Shaw, he agrees with me. He says, Kenner and I agree on the Reggie Bush thing. See, that's how I know I'm right. That's how I know I'm right.
Oh, so I was doing a little bit of research about, Shaw and I were having a civil conversation about,
Always
how
civil.
good J.J. McCarthy was as a Michigan quarterback. So I would take Brian Griese over him. I would take Chad Henne over J.J. McCarthy. I would take his coach, Harbaugh, over McCarthy. And I will also take Denard Robinson over McCarthy. So McCarthy is number 5 on my personal list of Michigan quarterbacks. And I know people get offended when they hear words like game manager or a cog in the wheel. I get it. It's your guy. But I don't see a huge difference between what McCarthy was asked to do at Michigan versus what A.J. McCarron, McElroy, or even a Brock Purdy is asked to do with the San Francisco 49ers. That doesn't mean what they accomplished isn't any good. Doesn't mean they weren't the quarterback on the winning team. Doesn't mean they don't hoist a trophy. Doesn't mean they don't get a ring. Doesn't mean he's not going to get drafted in the first round. Doesn't mean that Brock Purdy didn't lead his team to a Super Bowl. Didn't mean Brock Purdy wasn't a guy that was on the team that had a chance to win the Super Bowl. I just think that, hey, man, I don't see the it factor. That's all. And being number 5 of a storied program with a lot of great quarterbacks is not a bad situation. So, like I said, I would take Greasy. I would take Denard Robinson. I would definitely take Chad Henne. Like, in my book, I think Chad Henne is the best quarterback that at least I've ever seen with my eyes at Michigan. And I would take Denard Robinson over him. So he's coming in fifth.
Not bad. Not bad. No, that was the debate from yesterday's show as far as that goes. But see, Shaw, this is where now we're back to disagreeing. And JJ won more than all of them. Michigan won more than all of them. And by the way, if it was a passing first offense and he was leading them to those same exact number of wins, I would agree with Shaw 1,000,000%. But it's a run first offense. And when I say run first, I mean run first, second, and third. And then when they did pass in those big games, holy crap, did he look bad? Like against TCU last year. And then Alabama this year. Yeah.
Like think about it like this. Like, this is right in your wheelhouse. The game where it was 1 versus 2, Ohio State, Michigan, Troy Smith's come out the Bull game. That was on Chad Henne. That was Chad Henne's fault that Michigan lost that game. They scored 30-something points. He was dropping dimes all over the place. Like, it wasn't his fault. So to say, hey, man, he was the quarterback, so he gets the win for that stat. That's why I think that quarterbacks wins is one of the weakest, worst stats I've ever seen in my life. Like, no, man, he was on the team. Yeah, he was a cog in the wheel. He was a part of the win. He wasn't the engine. Chad Henne was the engine to that team. Denard Robinson was the engine to that team. Yeah, Denard Robinson normally broke down halfway through the season because they was basically, hey, man, we want you to run it, catch it, throw it. We want you to do everything. It was a one-man show. He was the guy. I firmly believe if Denard Robinson got dropped into the Michigan offense from this past season, they're not scoring 28 points a game. They're scoring 50 because guess what? He gonna keep it on some of them zone reads and take it 80. So that's just where I'm at with.
So Shaw says, I was a Henne guy until I saw JJ with my own eyes.
Well, I saw him with my own eyes too, and I think that Chad Henne is markedly better than him.
And that's why I got glasses too, so I avoid that type of mistake right there that he made. Anyways, Kenner and Kev, 14-10, and now let's go. Shaw, man, what happened there, Shaw? He was calling in, and then boom. Shaw, I'm gonna give you 10 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7. All right, well, we tried. We'll pick up this debate later in the week. We'll pick this debate up later in the week when we know which team made the mistake of drafting him.
Now, with that being said, I'm a firm believer if he lands with the Minnesota Vikings, he's going to ball out of control. But I say that about any quarterback. I say that about you. I say that about me. I say that about Shaw. If either of us show up with the Minnesota Vikings, you might as well get us ready for a gold jacket because that system and it is plug and play. It is a plug and play for whomever lands with Minnesota. Michael Penix Jr., whomever, Bo Nix, and I'm not a Bo Nix guy, but if whoever lands with the Vikings, you are living life like it's golden. Shouts out to Jill Scott.
Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio, Chatterbox Sports. We'll talk with Jay Morrison, Pro Football Network. We're going to talk the Bengals. We're going to talk the draft, Jamar Chase, all of that coming up next.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? You need to call QC Kinetics today. Hey, it's Keith Byers. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideals like steroids and surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, from arthritis or injury? Don't let this pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. This is a revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief with no downtime. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility, reclaim your independence, walk and run and play and live without the danger and trauma of surgery. and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. 937-936-0325.
Cordell Transportation has more advantages than ever before, including brand new equipment. That's right, plus excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply now at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Frickers doubles your savings when you use the Frickers app. Frickers doubles your points on everyday value menu item. Monday, boneless frickin' chicken wings. Double points on the Frickers app. Tuesday, traditional frickin' chicken wings. Double points. Wednesday, sirloin steak. Double points. Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks. Double points on the Frickers app. When you download the Frickers app, you can even earn points by choosing delivery. Frickers mobile app now offers delivery. Everyday values, double points, and delivery all by downloading the Frickers app. Your best value is always Frickers.
Delivery participation and hours may vary by location.
Remarkable change begins with daring to be different. Baby, I'm on a mission with Boost Mobile, putting the latest phones in the hands of more people. Introducing the Signature Coach Prime Razor, only from Boost Mobile. Rush to your nearest Boost Mobile retailer and get your Signature Coach Prime Razor on us. Get after it.
When you switch in with ID verification, select plans only. Offer valid 4/19/24 through 5/23/24. While supplies last. Taxes extra. New customers only. Must remain active and in good standing on the $60 a month plan for 6 months to receive all credits. Offer subject to change.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. Get 6 times longer lasting freshness plus odor protection with Downy Unstoppables in-wash scent beads.
We plant trees because people need trees, and when planted in the right place, they have great impact. Trees help slow climate change, filter our air and water, foster biodiversity, and strengthen our communities. They create the kind of transformational change the world needs now. April is a month filled with opportunities to care for and plant trees. For planting resources, contact an Ohio ISA certified arborist who can help you learn how to take the best care of your trees. Visit trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
Hi, I'm Kamiko, the founder of Miko's Hot Chicken. When we started our family restaurant, we were also raising a family. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Our Chase Inc. card was there to reward us on all of our business needs. Now we have a thriving location, and we're hungry for more.
With the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited card, you can earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase, so your business can go from here to possible. Chase for business. Make more with yours. Real business owners compensated for their participation. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC. Subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but new Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with new Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Due to recent demand, our office is now issuing boat registrations for your convenience. This new service will be available at our downtown Dayton auto title location. We can help with new boats, renewals, and also ownership changes. Go to weregisterboats.com for more info.
Don't miss the best SpringFest deals right now at Lowe's. Get their best savings in store and online today. Visit Lowe's.com. Again, that's Lowe's.com. Because Lowe's knows spring, Lowe's knows savings.
All right, and we are back. It's the Kinner and Kev show here on a Wednesday. Of course, we got the NFL draft coming up tomorrow night, and of course, now all the rumors, all the leaked storylines, all that fun stuff, Kev. Now all that stuff's starting to come out, which as sports talk hosts, we love that. That's called content, called things to talk about, and we kind of like that. We kind of appreciate that.
Indeed. You know, now it seems like we started it, but you know, this whole talk about the Chargers potentially drafting J.J. McCarthy. I saw that was a buzz on Twitter today. So, like, did we start that yesterday?
I mean, we don't get to take credit for much. So things that won't happen, yes, I guess we could take credit for that, if you will. But nonetheless, a lot of things kind of circulating right now. Of course, the Lions have been very busy today, and that does impact the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll talk about that coming up here in a moment. The Bengals have the number 18 pick. Reports coming out today that the Bengals are one of a few teams that are looking to move up in this draft. And, of course, I figure we can get some of these things answered. Pro Football Network, of course, covers your Cincinnati Bengals. Jay Morrison hanging out with us. Jay, it's been a while. Welcome on, sir. How are you?
Doing great. Ready for the draft.
I'm sure. I'm sure you are, and let's start with that right off the bat. Obviously, main reason we wanted to have you come on today. But with that being said, the Bengals sitting at number 18, they're kind of sitting in a good spot because obviously they can get the key guy that everyone's kind of assuming that they're going to target, which is obviously offensive lineman. But then, of course, things get dicey and interesting as far as decisions to be made. If, of course, Brock Bowers is still sitting there and available, who knows what direction they go in. But some reports today, Jay, that the Bengals might be a little aggressive and looking to move up in the draft. What are you hearing? Do you get the sense that they could potentially be looking to move up in the draft before tomorrow night?
Well, it makes sense because there's a number of offensive tackles in this draft, but everybody has their favorites, and the odds of the Bengals having multiple options that they are comfortable with at 18 might not be there, but it doesn't really fit their DNA. They don't like to move up a lot, particularly in the first round. They haven't done that since Kajana Carter back in 1995. Wow. They are more likely to move back at any point in the draft than they are to move up. They did move up a couple years ago. They went up 3 spots to get Cam Taylor-Britt, who was someone they were really high on. But I'd be surprised. I still think they'd be more likely to wait it out at 18. And if the guys they like there aren't there as far as tackles, then maybe they move back and get some extra picks and throw multiple darts at it. I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule anything out, but I'd be really surprised to see them move up.
Jay, I'm in the mindset of the Bengals are going to get a playmaker, be it if Bowers is there, maybe a Brian Thomas because of the T. Higgins situation. Am I off base?
No, I think Brian Thomas is absolutely in play. I don't think Bowers is. They just don't value that tight end position. When they went out, and I'm not equating Mike Gesicki to Brock Bowers, but the position they play is detached kind of slot receivers more so than inline tight ends. The fact that they went out and signed Gesicki, it kind of was a signal that they're not looking to go tight end early in this draft. And I think Bowers is going to be a great pro in this league, but the way the Bengals offense operates, they believe with Joe Burrow quarterback, they can take any tight end and get similar numbers. You don't need to go top of the position group there. So first of all, I don't think Bowers is going to fall to 18, and if he does, I don't think you would see the Bengals take him. I think you would see someone trade up before 17, 16 to get him before he would last to the Bengals at 18.
Jay, do you think that philosophy could change just because obviously with the way the financial structure is changing moving forward with where the money is going? Obviously, Burrow's contract taken care of. We'll talk about Jamar Chase coming up here in a moment. We've already seen the stuff happening with T. Higgins. I mean, like the Chiefs, a team that, they didn't want to move on from Tyreek Hill. And, they won a Super Bowl with Tyreek Hill, but they felt they had to move on from Tyreek Hill because they had a playmaker at tight end that the best tight ends in football, you still get significantly cheaper than you do the best wide receivers in football. And that's why they've prioritized putting money there. Do you think that could shift for the Bengals, obviously, now having to kind of think a little bit differently? When you have Joe Burrow, T, and Jamar on rookie deals for the last 3-4 years, they can operate a little differently. Do you see that shifting at all just because of the way the financial layout is changing within the organization?
Yeah, I mean, it's something to think about, but again, the tight end in this offense is never going to run through a tight end. It's always going to run through Jamar and the receivers, and I think that they would be far more likely to go cornerback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, any of those spots than they would tight end. But it is something to think about where, whatever that number is going to be for Brock Bowers 4 years from now, 5 years from now when he signs his extension is probably going to be a lot less than what a tackle or a wide receiver or one of those positions is going to be making in 4 or 5 years.
obviously we harp so much on the first round pick, but I mean, obviously they got second and third round picks. What are some guys that you are hearing that are go those late round picks for the Bengals?
Yeah, it's specific names, it's hard to pinpoint, but I think you're going to see them target a tight end at some point. They haven't drafted one since the second round of 2019. There have been 71 tight ends drafted since the Bengals took Drew Sample. All 31 teams have taken at least one. 23 have taken two or more. So at some point, I think they have to get a tight end. I think cornerback is in play, even though it's not an urgent need. You got to look ahead to moving on from Mike Hilton in the slot next year. Wide receiver, I could see them double dipping there. Defensive tackle is another position. I really think you could see them double dip because they need a pass rushing defensive tackle and they need a run stopping defensive tackle. And then the real question here is running back. Do they take a flyer on a guy on Saturday? Punter. Do they draft a punter to come in and compete with Brad Robbins? They've been very open that there's going to be a competition with Brad Robbins, but do they use a draft pick on it, or is it somebody they grab in undrafted free agency after the draft's over? They're in a spot right now. They don't have obvious needs outside of right tackle, so they can really kind of let the draft come to them and fill the spots or fill those day 3 picks with the it's just a cliche, but with the best player available and not have to fill certain holes.
Jay Morrison, Pro Football Network, covers your Cincinnati Bengals with us here ahead of the draft coming up on Thursday night, of course, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Everyone keeping an eye on what they're going to do at 18. Will they remain at 18? Will they move up? Of course, that's going to be what everyone's keeping an eye on heading in to the first round coming up on Thursday. But the Bengals also made headlines today, Jay, with this move that wasn't surprising. They do pick up the option on Jamar Chase for 2025. But, that kind of, with that news tying in with what the Lions did today with St. Brown, again, making him the highest paid wide receiver in football, that also has an impact because that resets the market, mainly because of he has now the most fully guaranteed money of any wide receiver in football. That obviously is an indicator to keep an eye on, really, for where Jamar Chase is going to be starting negotiations with the Bengals when that time comes. Obviously, Justin Jefferson out there waiting to sign his extension. So that kind of ties in to the extension with Jamar Chase, obviously.
Yeah, and Jamar's been pretty open that he's more than willing to wait for Justin Jefferson to sign, and then he can leapfrog him and be the highest paid and reset the market. By picking up the 5th-year option today, he's got a guaranteed $21.8 million at 25, and his 1.1 base salary this year also becomes fully guaranteed. And it's interesting. I mean, you mentioned the Lions and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They also signed Penei Sewell today, who was drafted right after Jamar Chase. So it's a lot of money being spent up there in Detroit, and that obviously being a player that was so close to where Jamar was selected, that also kind of plays in. I believe it was 4 years, $115 million. Penei Sewell is now the highest paid offensive lineman in the game. So I think Jamar's true to his word. I think he's going to wait this out, and he's going to wait till Justin Jefferson signs, and it probably won't be this offseason. It might be next offseason before you see any kind of movement towards a new deal with Jamar.
Okay, settle this once and for all. T. Higgins, because we still get, listeners saying it's going to get worked out. It's going to be Jamar, T, Joey B, riding it out to the sunset. Like John Taylor and Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. This is it. This is it, right? This is his last year with Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I can't imagine. I mean, you guys talked about it before, the difficulty Kansas City had with trying to pay Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. We know they're going to pay Jamar Chase. They've already paid Joe Burrow. I just don't see how it fits that they would be able to extend T. Higgins to a long-term deal. And I would say it's more likely that he doesn't play for the Bengals in 2024 than he does play for them in 2025, because you mentioned him, Brian Thomas. If the Bengals draft him at 18, maybe they become a little more receptive to some offers to deal T. Higgins at that point, and we could see some movement at later in the draft tomorrow. Now, I'm not saying they will, but it kind of goes back to all signs pointed in getting rid of Joe Mixon, but they didn't pull the trigger on that until they had Zach Moss in place. So if the Bengals know for sure they've got a first-round receiver selected tomorrow night, maybe they're a little more willing to listen to T. Higgins' offers for this year, and they could get a high second-round pick for him.
Jay, last thing on the Jamar Chase thing, too. I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on. It sounds like, look, that's going to get done at some point. Obviously, giving him the extension or picking up the option, all that fun stuff. But do you anticipate any kind of hiccups at all within the negotiations? You look at how some of these contracts are being structured for wide receivers right now. You look at how much Joey B just got paid. Do you see any potential hiccups when that time comes? Like, we're just all assuming it's Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase long term, but we're talking about 33, 35 potential along with the 55 for Joe Burrow. I know it's all, matters on how it's structured, but do you anticipate any kind of hiccups throughout the negotiation process for Jamar and the Bengals?
The only thing I could see, and it's not going to be the big number, the total value of the deal, it's going to be the guaranteed money, because he's been pretty clear that's the most important thing to him is the guaranteed money, and the Bengals don't like to give out guaranteed money, and they did with Joe Burrow. They kind of broke their mold there. You have to with a guy like that. So that could be a sticking point, but really it's almost like a template where you get the one receiver signs, becomes the highest paid in the league, and then kind of where the next one's going to land, and the Bengals will have all the leverage. They've already got him under contract for 2 more years. They could franchise tag him at that point. It's just I think that maybe there's some haggling over guaranteed money. That's the only possible hiccup. But even that, I can't see that being an issue. There's just too much at stake for both sides to not get something worked out.
You alluded to this, with Kev's question about T. Higgins. Like right now, obviously, depending on who they get in this draft, if they feel comfortable with who they pick up this weekend, that could set the chips for how they kind of want to, play their next hand. What's the post-draft look like for the Bengals? Or should we anticipate any more moves in free agency? I mean, what's the post-draft look like for the Bengals, depending on, obviously, the results of this weekend? But do you anticipate a busy Bengals movement post-draft?
Not a lot, but I could see them. There's still some veteran cornerbacks out there on the market, and if they don't get a guy they like in the second or third round, and the cornerbacks rarely hit after you get it past the second round. So if they get to the third, fourth round and they don't have one, they may not draft one, and they might just sign one of these veteran guys. Maybe there's an Evan McPherson extension after the draft. That could be a possible move, but I think it's going to be, I don't want to say quiet, but I don't think you're going to see a flurry of activity from this team after the draft. There's a couple things that could be done, a couple more holds, but I don't think you're going to see anything real splashy.
All right, good stuff. Jay Morrison, Pro Football Network. Give him a follow on X at @ByJMorrison, BYJMorrison on Twitter. Jay, tell people where they can, obviously Twitter, we just gave that out, but where can they take in your content? What special features can they go find from your work right now heading into the draft?
Yeah, so we've got 2 podcasts. We've got the PFN Bengals podcast, and then we also have the Growler podcast that I'm doing with Paul Daner Jr. And Tuesday night we're going to have a live show at the Banks at Nation Kitchen down there in the BetMGM Sportsbook. We're going to have Bengals Director of College Scouting, Mike Potts, on to talk about all things draft, why they picked who they picked, and what led them in that direction. And then, of course, ProFootballNetwork.com. All my work is up on there, and it's all free to read.
All right. Well, good stuff, Jay. Appreciate you. Thank you for giving us some time today, and enjoy your weekend. I'm sure, you won't have much to do this weekend.
It'll be a long weekend, but I'm looking forward to the best beer of the year. Is the first one you crack Saturday night when the draft is over.
Well, good stuff. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, more of the Kidder and Kev Show when we come back.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, we have legal professionals